Hey, welcome back to the Creatively Performing Arts podcast, where I help you hopefully inspire you to start singing, acting, and dancing again, to start singing and performing again, and using your creative gifts that God has given you. Now, today I want to get into confidence, something that I've talked about before, but I want to dig in a little bit deeper to one other key thing that you might be missing when it comes to building your confidence if you want to start singing, dancing, acting, performing again. If you struggle with confidence, you might be missing this one key thing. Okay, so listen in. Hey, performer, welcome to the Creatively Performing Arts podcast. Are you ready to get back to your creative passion for singing, acting, and dancing again? Hi, I'm Estelle, beginner voice coach, performer, and Christian creative, and I know how it feels to want to use your God-given gifts, but to stay stuck in fear. The solution is to just get started. So, in this podcast, you'll find beginner singing and performing tips, inspiring interviews with artists, and help to push past your fear so you can finally start performing again. So, pause your Broadway playlist and take a vocal rest, because the show is starting and you're the star of it. Let's begin. All right, so let's talk confidence when it comes to starting your journey as a creative, as a performing artist. Confidence and lack of confidence can be something that really gets in the way of us just starting or restarting, after time off from our craft. But it shouldn't be. And there are so many ways to combat this. Of course, starting with acknowledging the fact that you are feeling lack of confidence in yourself or your abilities, and, accepting that that is how you're feeling, acknowledging those feelings are valid, but then moving forward from there, right? And I had an episode 72, where I talked about the number one way to build confidence as a new or like beginner singer, performer. And I talked about how the number one way that you can build confidence starting right now is to decide that you are going to do this and you are going to go to that dance class. You are going to, you know, go take a voice lesson. You're not going to hold yourself back anymore or doubt yourself. And you're deciding that you're going to take a step towards becoming the performer that you want to be, whether as a creative outlet, whether as a career, whether as just an intentional hobby that you want to have because you have this gift that you want to grow. And so I talked about how it's so important to decide, and that's like the best thing that you can do, like to start work towards overcoming that lack of confidence that you might be having when it comes to auditioning for a role or boldly pursuing your craft. Right, so I talked about that. Go back to episode 72 if you want to listen to that again. I'll link it in the show notes below, or you can just scroll back on whatever app that you're using to listen to this. So, yeah. But today I want to talk about kind of like a different aspect of how we can combat this feeling of lack of confidence, knowing that it's something that can be overcome and doesn't have to stand in the way of us boldly and confidently pursuing our craft and using the gifts that God has given us. And an aspect that I want to talk about today is really one very key thing to being an artist, to being a creative, and to truly growing your craft. And that is community. That one missing key could be community for you. And I just want to speak very genuinely from my heart today and share with you what that community can look like for you based on what it's looked like for me and how it has helped me, and continues to help me to move forward as I boldly pursue my craft as a singer, actor, and dancer, and as I'm continually working towards doing this professionally and growing as an artist. Community has been so key, and I'm going to just share that with you. It's so helpful to build your confidence if you have people around you who are supporting you, who are speaking life into you, who are calling out your potential, and even giving you helpful criticism to help you grow, right? So we need community, and this can look like so many different things. I'm going to outline 1, 2, 3, 4 different types of like support that you can have in your life, different aspects of community and give you just like two ways that you can start to build community today. So I hope this really helps you. I hope this inspires you. And I hope it's also like tactical and practical for you to start applying right now to build your community as you aspire to start singing, acting, dancing again, performing again, whatever it looks like for you. I want you to know that you're not alone first and foremost, and like you're not alone in that feeling of maybe struggling with confidence. But then also, you're not alone in that you don't have to be alone going through this alone. How many times can I say alone? But you can have community around you, and in fact, you need community around you. So let's get into it. The first thing that community looks like for me and can look like for you is through family and friends who encourage you. I was really blessed and very privileged actually to be able to have parents who could put me in dance classes from when I was young. I was able to start singing in church choir as well as school choir and acting in school shows and plays and even church plays from a young age. And it was because I had, that community around me who really encouraged me to do it, right? I had my parents who supported that. I had my sisters who also, especially my older sister, also sang and would always help me, growing up. She was like the singer, and so she helped me, really inspired me to want to grow my voice, right? And then of course I had like that church family who encouraged me too. And it's like all these people who from a young age were around me, supporting me, helping me to see the possibility of, you know, how meaningful art could be to me, how meaningful performing could be to me. And it really, from a young age, fostered this love of storytelling and the arts in me. And so, yeah, it's like even just that little, those little nudges from a young age, like those are the things that right now, as an adult, I still have that foundation, and you probably do too. A lot of you probably grew up in, singing in church choir, singing in school choir. Maybe you played an instrument in middle school or high school. Maybe you did theater. Maybe you took dance classes. Maybe even in college, right? And you had family members and friends who you knew who were in those classes, or maybe who weren't in those classes or in those, you know, extracurricular activities, and who supported you regardless of whatever they were doing. You had people who were like that. And so if you can think back to like how that made you feel when you were younger, you can also think to now, wherever you are in your life, how that could be so helpful to you to have friends, to have people around you who do support you. And this could also look like friends too. The friends that I have from college and also from when I was in med school, my roommate, she was one of the people who really encouraged me and just spoke life into me and helped me see like, you can do this. You have this talent. You have this love for the arts. Like, I'm here for you. I support you. She prayed with me, prayed for me. And even the two of my friends from college who were not like none like they are not artists themselves in in the respect of like pursuing it professionally. They do sing themselves and are very talented, but they have other professional goals. But they, took time to fast and pray with me at one point when I was really considering taking the leap to pursue this as a career, and they were just so supportive. And so it's just so helpful and essential to have a core group of people who you can trust to support you in your creative endeavors. Again, whether it's a hobby, an intentional creative outlet, whatever it is, you need a core group of people. Like, I don't know if I would be doing what I'm doing now, like, if God hadn't put those people in my life. So, yeah, I really want to encourage you to surround yourself with friends and family who will encourage you as much as possible, and to see those areas in your life where you do have that support and lean into that even more. So that's the first kind of area of community that I think could be so helpful to you as you pursue your creative giftings. The other area would be kind of related to this, are other artists who support you. So they might not be like actual family members, but these are people who are in the arts themselves and are still supporting you. They don't see your success as a threat to their own success. They don't see you as competition. They support you, they encourage you, they call out the potential in you, from the lens of someone who's also an artist, also in the run and in the race with you. You know what I mean? So these are friends who, they could be friends. Like I have a friend who, her name is Aoife. She always comes to my shows, always supports me. I go to her shows and try to support her as well. And like we support each other as artists. And that is so helpful. She has like a clothing brand. She's a videographer and content creator. I've interviewed her on this show. What am I talking about? You guys know her. She's on, her interview is on episode 29. I'll link it in the show notes below. She came on the show, episode 29. Such a great interview, so inspiring, so helpful for anyone who's into like videography. She's also a performer, a musician, singer songwriter. So yeah, check out that interview. She's great. But like she's one of those people who's another artist who supports me. Also, people who you will find as you start to actually pursue your craft, right? You start to take dance class, you start to act in shows, you will find, you'll have a cast and crew, people who are supportive of you. In the show that I did earlier this year, it was a short play, and it was me and another person. So it was a two-person play plus our director. But like she and I had such a great time encouraging each other, building each other up, helping each other be the best that we could be. And I loved having that experience. And then, of course, with Midsummer Night's Dream that I just closed a few weeks ago, I told you guys back in, what episode is that? Episode 77. I talked about the lessons that I learned from that, my first official acting job, from that performance. And one of those lessons was definitely about like how important it is to have that support. And like the cast and the crew, the whole team was so wonderful, and they were all so supportive and encouraging of me. And they like still to this day will like say, oh, I remember this part of like what you did and acting wise. And like that encourages me so much, and it builds my confidence, not in me thinking like, oh wow, I'm the best of the best, but like in me being like, okay, like there is something there, I have something to work with, I can continue to grow, I am growing. When you have people who are in the work with you who can say, you know what, you really did this very well, it makes you feel so encouraged. And it also reminds you, wow, like, there is something in me. Like I know that I'm pursuing this because I know that I have something, and I can continue to work and I continue to grow. But it's so nice to hear that someone else appreciated something in you, and you get that when you work with other artists. So yeah, the more you start working with other artists, the more you go to a dance class, you audition for a show, you'll find other people who are in the arts alongside you, who will support you, who will build you up. And it's just amazing what that can do for your confidence. So now the third thing also relates to this. They all relate, honey, okay? So the third aspect of community that can really build and develop your confidence as you start to perform again is having teachers and directors. And again, this relates to the other one, like I said, but when you start to take dance class, when you start to take voice lessons, you'll have teachers who are like, wow, you did so great there. And then they will help you get better. They'll help you to grow. But because they believe in you, they're taking that time to speak into you and to, show you kind of what tweaks you can make. That's because they believe that you can do it. And so having these people who are professionals, who are maybe a little bit ahead of you, or like maybe way ahead of you, whatever it looks like, having them be able to say, you know what, let's work on this. You know what, I see this in you. Let's try it this way. Those are people who are essential to your growth and development as an artist, as well as your growth when it comes to your confidence in yourself as an artist. So yeah, teachers and directors, like, learn from people, be willing to take a voice lesson, be willing to learn from the director in your show that you're in, be willing to, go to a dance class and learn from a teacher, whatever it is. It can be so helpful. When I was doing A Midsummer Night's Dream, my director pulled me aside after one of like the rehearsals. Which one was it? It was like after I'd come back, I went on vacation for a little bit, and then I came back, and had missed like, no, this was right before I went on vacation where I was going to miss several rehearsals. And she was just so encouraging to me to be like, that was you did a really great job. And I feel like very sure and more secure about how this rehearsal went. So, like, because I was going to be going away for a while, it really helped. Okay, like, I can learn these lines, I can get this done, and by the time I come back, everything's going to be okay. It just having people who are leaders in the field that you're going into and the craft that you're in, having them encourage you is priceless. Okay, so just, yeah, that's the third aspect. And then finally, the last aspect, and frankly, the most important one to me, if you know me, you know what I'm going to say, is God. Okay, having a relationship with the Creator through Jesus Christ has been and continues to be my greatest source of strength, the ultimate way to build my confidence, because I know him for myself. I have a personal relationship with God who created creativity itself. And everyone has a different experience with Christianity and with faith. And I just want to share that in my personal experience with having a relationship with God through Jesus, I have so much peace and so much true joy in spite of circumstances, in spite of what's going on around me. And I know that even though I'm not perfect, I'm not going to be a perfect artist tomorrow, God has given me a gift, and it gives me so much purpose and fuels me forward, so that even when I don't feel confident, I have decided that I'm going to work on my gift and grow these talents because it's something that God gave me. And so having that relationship with God builds my confidence, because I know that at the end of the day, he's the one who gave me those gifts in the first place. So of course I'm going to use them because I love him and I want to inspire and impact people with those gifts. I want to glorify him with these gifts. I want to tell stories that are meaningful with these gifts. And so having that relationship with God is really the root of my confidence at the end of the day. And it's such an important part of community to me, is that one-on-one relationship with him. And so, yeah, I would say that those are the four main aspects of having a community as a creative. And I just want to give you a little bit of just like a two-step process, or like two steps that you can, two takeaways, that's what we'll call them. Two takeaways that you can take away today to really start building that community in and of yourself. It's so essential to building community, or to building confidence, to have that community as you start to sing, dance, act, perform, be creative again. So yeah, and of course this can look like looking around and seeing the friends and the family that you have and leaning into those relationships. But there are two really great ways to start to build community. And the first thing I would say is having a relationship with God. Again, like I said before, everyone has different experiences with Christianity, with faith. But I just know that knowing that God, the ultimate creator, came down to earth in the form of man, Jesus Christ, lived, did all these incredible things, showed us how to live full of faith, full of love, generosity, kindness, strength, truth, justice, and then literally died just at that, take on the punishment of really what's meant to be ours, because we are imperfect and God is perfect, but he took on that punishment, he took it on, and then rose again. Why? So that we know that we have victory over situations, over challenges, over death, over sin, over evil. And yes, there's still evil in the world, but we get to live in freedom. We get to live in joy and in peace in spite of circumstances. We get to hold on to hope. And that is really what fuels my creativity overall. And so having that relationship with God is so, so essential, I believe. And so if you ever want to talk, my DMs are open, link in the show notes, come chat with me. We can talk about that. But really starting to explore, like, what would a relationship with God through Jesus look like? And yeah, building that faith, I think, is so essential to building a community for in and of yourself, like so essential. And that way you will absolutely grow your confidence. And then the other action step that you can take, the other takeaway is what we're calling it now, that you can take, is to come join the Performing Arts Community Facebook group. Okay, I have a Facebook group that is specifically for beginner singers, people who want maybe support when you're doing theater auditions, when you're doing dance classes. You want support from other people who are in the beginning stages of their creative journey. This is an amazing place to come to. I post in there every day, and chat/talk with people every day in there, and I would love for you to join. You can go to the link in the show notes right below this. It'll be at the top of the show notes. Click there and come join the Facebook group. You will not be sorry. You will absolutely have so much fun. We have fun in there. We laugh, we joke. There are opportunities to connect with other people. You can drop your links and stuff for other people to connect with you, listen to your music or whatever it is. There are certain days that we can do that. Like, there's just so much in there, but ultimately you're getting the community that we talked about today that will build your confidence, because you know that you're not alone and you'll feel so supported every single day. So go join the performing arts community on Facebook group. You can on Facebook. You can join the group by searching Performing Arts Community on Facebook, or you can just go to the link in the show notes below. But yeah, ultimately, I just want to encourage you that you might be missing a very key thing when it comes to building your confidence, and that is having that community, having those people around you who support you. And I hope this encourages you today to know that you are not alone and you do not have to be alone. You can journey along this, from this starting point with other people. You can be supported, and we all need to be supported. Okay, so yeah, and I'm here for you always, 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 every week, every Monday. You already know I'm gonna be here. But yeah, DM me on Instagram at Estelle Avberry or at Creatively Performing Arts if you have any questions or you want to talk about anything at all. I'm here for you. I'm here to support you. And I hope you know that. Thank you so much for being here. Literally, the fact that you take out time every week to listen is so just amazing, because we are all busy, and there are so many things that we're all doing, but I really appreciate you taking this time to not just listen to the show, but to really invest in yourself and invest in your growth and your creative talent. So thank you for being here. I hope you have an amazing week, and I will talk to you later. Thank you so much for listening to this week's episode of Creatively by Estelle. I hope you feel encouraged by today's episode as you start this week. And if you have a moment, I would love for you to just share this episode with a friend if you liked it, or with someone who you think this could be encouraging to. It would really help the show. Also, if you really loved this episode, if you wouldn't mind going to Apple Podcasts and leaving a review and rating this show, it would really help us reach more people through this show and grow our Creatively community. All right, thank you so much for listening, and I'll see you next week.